mean, this is unbelievable. There's no city like this in the world.
You're in love with a fantasy.
I'm in love with you.
Midnight in Paris. My bottle of Rippel.
Or in your case, gay Paris.
Gay Paris. You know what? I knew one of y'all was going to do it, and I was just like, okay, well, let me set my watch.
Well, he
you guys
led with
ruined
Paris, so we had to go there.
What, the minute somebody says Paris, you got to say, gay Paris?
Well, when it's Corey who's the one who said it, yeah.
Come on, man. Either he's a womanizer or he's gay. You got to pick one or the other.
That's the fun in it.
What day is it? And where am I? You know, I take whatever's there, man.
Yes, you will.
Man,
As has been well advertised.
God damn, yeah, I'm looking at your cat walking around here right now.
He's not safe.
That's why cat took off.
The moment you said gay Paris, that cat took the fuck off.
I know the cat went, the fuck? Oh,
You heard Corey go, come here, my love.
Come here, monkey.
Oh, chérie.
I am the great French date rapist.
Yes, people, we are here in Cyrus's chateau at the moment, and we are recording for Midnight in Paris, the movie which frustrates me because no matter how much I want to say that asshole Woody Allen man sitting up here having incest with his stepdaughter, and I can't take this guy, a moral motherfucker, and then he makes a movie like this. I'm like,
Hey, man, if he to make this movie right here, he can fuck all the stepdaughters he wants to. If that's what it takes to make a movie this good, do whatever you want.
Yeah, go find
And you know what?
China woman and have all the sex you want.
As far as like being mad at him for, you know, having sex or marrying his stepdaughter, they've been married almost 20 years.
Yeah.
It's time to get over it.
yeah, no, I let it go a long time ago.
And it wasn't his stepdaughter either, so fair enough. Yeah, they were, so.
Yeah, it's
That's
like,
right.
well,
You
it was
never
like
married.
she was his stepdaughter.
like it
well,
was,
like
but-
doesn't count.
Hey, man, no one knows what's really going on in a relationship except the two people in it, is what I always say.
Well, that's true.
So-
And you know
they've
what?
been together 20 years, it's like, obviously, there's no hard feelings.
But you know, what I always say is like, did anyone not see the movie Manhattan when he was dating like a girl
yeah,
that was still in high school?
Margot
Right.
Hemingway.
If that wasn't a precursor to that relationship,
If you didn't know what he was about right then and there,
Yeah.
man, you know what?
Not the only one. Even in his last couple films, when he was like so old, it's gross to watch him even touch another person. You're like, he's trying to hook up with chicks who are like 19.
Yeah.
Man,
No,
you know what?
stop.
The only reason he was doing that was because he could.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like his last 2 or 3 movies, I've been like, man, it seems like he's kind of in some way trying to apologize to Mia Farrow. Like, look, maybe this wasn't the best, and I'm kind of sorry. But in this one, I feel like he was kind of saying like, yeah, y'all give me a hard time, but she was kind of a bitch too.
Oh, you know what? I just had, about 20 years to realize, I'm player hating. I was
Exactly.
I was just mad.
You were doing
It's like,
exactly
man, he got
the
it like
same
that.
thing.
Yeah.
How come I can't pull shit like that?
Yeah, he only managed to get Scarlett Johansson in like 2 of his films.
Yeah, I'm just mad, man. Just player hating. That's all. So, and now I get twice as mad because damn, he's pulling all these little young chicks, and he can make good movies too. This is the I guess this is what you call classic Woody Allen right here, and this is a fantasy sort of. It reminded me. Maybe I'm missing some Woody Allen films here. I think I've seen them all, but this reminded me of Purple Rose of Cairo.
Purple Rose of
totally.
Cairo, yeah.
It was like Purple Rose of Cairo mixed with sort of conceptually Sleeper.
Yeah, time travel.
Yeah, because it's like him returning to that idea. Someone like, except in there, it was like, okay, so he time travels to the future, and there's that disconnect of like the way things are done. And here, it's the reverse. He's time traveling to the Roaring 20s.
Yeah.
It's weird to see Alan take on the subject the way he does, because what we're dealing with is, people who go, oh, things were so much better when, and it's him just saying, no, they really weren't. Everybody says that.
It's that's what I like about this. It's we have a lot of sides of Woody Allen. We have the very cynical, neurotic side of Woody Allen. We got some people say the creepy side of Woody Allen. We have the Woody Allen actually is sort of a master of suspense in his own right.
Hell yeah.
Match Point was freaky.
Match
Well,
Point
even
and,
Murder Manhattan Mystery.
Yeah.
Manhattan Murder Mystery.
Manhattan Murder Mystery.
Don't forget
and,
my favorite, Shadows and Fog.
Shadows and Fog was cool,
And,
but then I think
Crimes and Misdemeanors.
That's one of my favorites.
That's
Crimes
one
and
of my
Misdemeanors.
favorites. That's in my top 3.
But this is sweet Woody Allen, man. This is Woody Allen with a lesson here, saying you're right. It's like, look, no matter what period you go to, you're always going to want what's on the other side or somewhere else.
Well, that's the thing. It's not even saying like this other period was better, but it's just like, hey, it's you're gonna think it's better. You're gonna romanticize
Yeah.
it. And the thing is, and by it eventually says like, hey, it's no better than any other time, but he does make it. He does really romanticize it in a way where you go like, wow, I'm kind of buying your argument that things were better
But
then.
you- but you know-
it was that golden age.
But the thing is,
of
what I
Paris.
really loved about it too is that he made it seem like fun. He made it seem like
Yes, he did.
all his heroes that he's always wanted to hang out with are like just normal, fun people to be around. To the point where they're even trying to help him with his stupid problems, or with the character at least in Midnight in Paris. And I'm sure it was probably a blast. He's like, you know what? If I had to go back in time, this is exactly where I want to be.
Right.
And this is the type of experience I really want. And you know what? He made it a fun experience. And just watching this movie, you don't want it to end. That's what
That's
I really
true.
loved about it.
That's
You did
absolutely
not
true.
want it to end. Yeah.
I think that like it's that weird point because he very much he flat out says, look, you gotta, this is, you know, it's about you're romanticizing stuff past what it was like, but at the same time you're right. He's like, wow, it really was great, but I think he comes down to somewhere in the middle in his point. He's like, look, really what you need to do is, because we can't really travel into the past,
Exactly.
is embrace the timing you're right now. Nothing seems awesome until 20 years later, like telling all the people we know loved the hell out of Super 8.
But you know, I think the biggest thing though, the coolest thing about it is like he makes these people who we all know, we've all read about for years, these like legends in the artistic world. He made them seem like very normal, humanized people.
Yeah.
And they were still managed to be larger than life. You could see like these people are brimming with talent. These are artists. This is why they are this way.
They were literally larger than life, though. He was playing up the caricatures the same way he did in Purple Rose of Cairo.
Sure.
Where they were like, they were caricatures based on what we know about them, but they were so likable for that
Yeah.
that you didn't care that that's probably not what they were actually
And
like.
it was almost in sort of like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen way, where you know you're bringing all these people together who were, you know, contemporaries, but it's all of them that you could play off of. I mean, almost like public domain. Just bring them all together at once.
Oh no, it was the Justice League of literary and superheroes.
Literary and artists. But, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, it does harken back to that time of Paris in the 20s where all you had, all these creative, almost geniuses all together hanging out. I mean,
Yeah.
that, you know, it really was a big deal back then.
Yeah, no, the way we bring this all together is that we have Owen Wilson, who is Gil, and his fiance, played by Rachel McAdams, who is Inez.
Talk about not being able to appreciate what's right in front of you.
Well, we'll get to that later.
Nah, man, you know, she got, you know, one of the things I appreciate about her is like, damn, that girl's got one of the best asses working.
She does.
When she was putting, like, there's a scene where she's putting some stuff in the back of a car and the whole theater went,
Yeah.
I was like,
I think of Cyrus. I was like, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
what you want to travel back in time for? I don't think there's any ass like that back in the 20s.
Well, I mean, there were shots where like it's her and her friend walking down the street, and that cameraman, while he had both of them in a shot, you could see he was just zoomed in on her ass, and it was in those like, you know, Sister the Traveling Pants perfect jeans. It's like, God damn, I can't hear anything she's
Well, you know,
saying.
as great as that as is, I'm sure after a while, after hearing all that jibber jabbering that she was doing throughout the movie, you're just like,
Oh yeah,
That was the beauty of it.
Well, hold
It's
on.
like-
Before we go too far, because we're getting off topic here, it's like, you know, there are problems with Gil and Inez. Gil considers himself a hack screenwriter. He has I'm talking about not appreciating what you have. I mean, he's got talking about, you know, his nice house in Hollywood and how, you know, he's in demand, but he wants things a little more simplistic. He's roaming around Paris with his fiance. It's like, I'd like to, you know, probably get like a small home here and just write my book. I don't want to be a hack writer.
I'm tired of writing Transformers 2.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah,
I mean, despite, you know, he's made the money. It's not a new thing to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to get back to his roots of what made him want to be a writer in the first place.
Yeah, and she's like, no, I want to live in Miami. He's having to deal with her asshole parents, Kurt Fuller and Mimi Kennedy. They're just giving him a hard. I mean, they make it clear that they don't like him.
Right.
You know, they just pretty much tell him, you're cheap and we don't like you. We think there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, you're cheap. You're an artist. You don't appreciate when, you know, my husband has worked hard to build his corporation,
Oh yeah, he's like, my husband's a Republican.
and
He's
you're a
dumb
pinko
old-
liberal.
I'll be perfectly frank. I'm excited about this corporate merger between our folks and the French company, but otherwise, I'm not a big Francophile.
John hates their politics.
Certainly been no friend of the United States.
Well, I mean, you can't exactly blame them for not following us down that rabbit's hole in Iraq with the whole
Oh,
Bush.
please,
you
let's
know,
not get into that
honey,
discussion
we're
yet
not
again.
getting it. By the way, it's fine for your father and I to disagree. That's what a democracy is. Your father defends the right wing of the Republican Party, and I happen to think you've almost got to be like a demented lunatic. But it's
Okay,
like,
okay.
no, but it doesn't mean we don't respect each other's views. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
even she, Rachel McAdams, is totally entitled. The child of parents like that.
Oh, yeah, no,
Okay,
so-
you know, really beautiful and very sweet. But like when you're in a relationship with her and it's heading towards marriage, she's like, "This is how it's gonna be."
Oh yeah, no. Gil is very romantic. He's like, I'd like to just take in the scenery. Let's walk in the rain. Fool, you walk in the rain. I ain't getting my hair wet.
Exactly.
We're here to go shopping, not to see fucking Paris at night.
Hey, get your ass. You know what? You want you go walking. So,
Oh, this is a nice chair. We should buy this. It's only $2 million.
yeah. What the fuck? Yeah.
There's that moment that they're pricing a chair, like with her family, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not $2 million, but it was like some ridiculous astronomical price for just some piece of shit." And they're like, "Oh, you can't get stuff like this back home." It's like you get those prices.
No, that chick at that point, that chick was being a pain in the dick. Dude.
No, that's the thing. You know, it's like I'm hanging around with very materialistic people. I myself might have money. You know, I might be a little privileged, but really the simple things in life. I mean, it gets so bad that they're hanging around like even two pseudo intellectual, pompous, pretentious people. This professor played by Michael Sheen named Paul and his girlfriend, and this dude Paul is just. I mean, he is just a snob and ain't even trying to hide it. I mean, he's sitting up there. He's the kind of guy when you on a museum
he's a
tour.
intellectual know-it-all.
Well, when you're on, exactly. That's what I mean by very pompous. He's like the kind of person who just like will argue with you for no reason. Sit up there and argue with a wall if you don't like the color.
it's-
You know?
That sounds like somebody I know.
Not like me.
It's not so much that he'll argue with you. He'll argue with the tour guide.
That's what I was gonna say,
The person who has
yeah.
a job studying this, teaching people. He'll be like, no, you're wrong about that.
Oh, yeah.
That guy argues with Wikipedia.
I mean, he will argue with anything. You know, I mean, just sit up there with even look at you and just kind of like, you know, like if you try to add something to it, like, who the fuck asked you? What do you know? You know, it's just like that kind of guy. And so, but you know, at this point, Gil has had enough. Gil is like, you know what? I'll go by myself. I'm gonna walk the city alone at night, get some inspiration, because you motherfuckers getting on my goddamn nerves. So he starts walking the city, gets lost, sits down on some steps. Around midnight, city chimes start ringing, and a car rolls up. A car that looks like it's from another period. And these people jump out and they're like, "Hey, get on in the car." I mean, they just pretty much grab it. Get your ass in the car, you know. And they drive off. He finds himself at what looks like a costume party. You know, he's there with all these people who are literary figures, people that he's like.
And Scott Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
He figures that they're playing those characters. Like,
Yeah,
oh, that's
first
Scott
he's just like,
Fitzgerald.
oh, it's just some fun party.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 20s party.
Yeah,
they're playing characters.
Oh yeah, F. Scott Fitzgerald is there with Zelda Fitzgerald, and they're like, "Oh, you don't know? Come on, we want you to meet somebody." He's the next thing you know, he's talking to Ernest Hemingway, and he's like,
Yeah, Cole Porter.
Yeah, Cole Porter's playing at the party, jamming out, and he's like, "Well, this is an elaborate ass costume party." I mean, they took me across the city, and they still pulling this shit, you know?
Right.
And then he suddenly realizes, like, well, wait a minute, you know, he walks out and walks back to the same building he was in. All of a sudden, it's a laundromat, not a party anymore. He has really traveled back in time. He repeats this every night when he realizes that these literary figures are going to actually read my novel, my book. And on top of that, I get to meet other people like Pablo Picasso. I mean, you know, it's like,
And these people actually like the guy. They actually like the guy, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing? You're not doing nothing? Hang out with me."
because he's a dreamer, and unlike the family that he's
About to marry
into, they're not dreamers.
No.
They're the hard realists. But he's like, you know what? This is like Paris. So much history out here. So much, I think about what could happen. And that's who those people. In
His
the 20s
heroes
were.
treat him like every fanboy wishes their fucking heroes would treat him.
Right.
Like where James Cameron would look at you and get the fuck out of here. You know?
well, you know, the biggest thing that that I love this movie for, and I, talk shit all you want about Woody Allen. I've done it. I'll talk shit about him tomorrow after, I see his movie,
Oh, I thought you meant you fucked your stepdaughter.
He could at this point. Today he could, because he's like, I enjoyed this movie so much. But we're talking about all these literary figures and characters that come into play. But this is truly an old fashioned filmmaker. This is a guy that doesn't feel the need to rush into anything. The movie opens up with a good 5 minutes of nothing but scenery of Paris. I mean, just set to music.
He knows
He knows how to film a
Yeah.
movie. Yeah, he knows how to set the tone. Every film I've seen him do where he's filming in any other place makes me want to go there. Even when he films on a fucking back alley lot, it makes me want to go there.
Oh yeah, no, his love for Manhattan. I would say New York, but that motherfucker ain't going to Brooklyn. You never catch him outside of Manhattan. His love for Manhattan definitely is the same love that he has for Paris, and he makes. I don't know who the cinematographer is here, but every bit of Paris is beautiful. I mean, it's even more beautiful when you start to travel back to the 20s.
Well, it's so important for him to start that way, too, because, I mean, Owen Wilson here is one of his purely sympathetic characters. I mean, yeah, he's going through a learning voyage. He obviously, right from the beginning, watching him with his wife-to-be, that obviously he is not a completely happy guy.
Mm-hmm.
But you root for him, absolutely, because Woody Allen forces you to see Paris through his eyes in the first 5 minutes of the film. Go, look at this amazing, beautiful, historic, hauntingly gorgeous place that these other people just don't see at all. They see
sympathize.
the stores you can shop.
They just see a big
sympathize
galleria.
Yeah, you sympathize with Owen Wilson only because you actually hang out with these people who treat him like shit, or you're just these philosophical idiots that are just spewing out nothing but garbage, and you're like, man, dude, I feel so fucking bad for you. It's like any fantasy world you're in, I don't blame you, man. Where is that world for me?
Yeah.
Well, what is that thing? Because they're so dismissive of him, and that's the thing. Like you hate. It's like if they were being really more openly aggressive, then he would be free to go like, hey, you know what? Fuck you.
Yeah.
But they're not. They're being more dismissive, and he's just like, look, you guys go do your thing. I'm just gonna the one time he decides to break away and do his thing. This whole world opens up for him, and you can't help but sympathize with that. He's great at playing like Woody Allen's great at writing characters who are basically him, something he would have done if it was 40 years ago. Owen Wilson carries that off well. It's
He does.
like the best role I've ever seen him do.
Honestly, as far as every other actor who's tried to do that whole Woody Allen thing, where he pretty much writes himself in these movies now, Owen Wilson is by far my favorite out of all these guys who tried to do that.
Owen Wilson adapts to that. That's why he picked a good actor who doesn't have to play Woody Allen as
Doesn't
much.
have to do an impression.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the other
Yeah,
people have done.
No, Owen Wilson just falls right into that role naturally. Whatever.
He's already that guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whatever embodies Woody Allen, Owen Wilson makes it feel natural. And because Owen Wilson, I mean, he's always had this. I mean, no matter what he does, it's even the way he talks. He just has a sense of wonderment about everything. Like, I just came out the vagina yesterday, and when he's finally going into Paris, a period that he loved, and all these people start appreciating him, you can't help but feel like, man, this is a kid that's been neglected. Somebody's finally adopted him and loves him.
And thank God it was a positive response to all the crazy shit, because I think the same thing happened to Jack Nicholson's character in The Shining. He ran into a guy in the bathroom and was like, your wife is giving you problems, sir. Maybe you should correct her.
That's the only thing these people in the 20s didn't do is kill your fiance and your bitch ass fiance.
If he had started being more honest with Ernest Hemingway about a situation, I have a feeling that conversation would have happened.
Well, speaking of, Owen Wilson does a great job in his role, but Corey Stoll is the guy that does Ernest Hemingway, and the moment he comes on the screen, he just commands it. And that guy, you've seen him before. I didn't recognize him at first. I was like, where have I seen this guy? He's on a Law and Order L.A.
Still haven't.
Oh,
seen
that
it.
guy? He's the bald guy on
He's
that show?
the bald guy on that show with
Yeah.
that bad mustache. Looks like with that bad mustache. Looks like he should be selling apples from a cart.
Yeah, no. I've watched that show, and I've been like, man, him and Skeet Ulrich are terrible. And they got rid of Skeet Ulrich, and I was like, oh, this guy's actually not that bad.
Well, you
It
know
was
what, that
just
guy,
Skeet
though,
Ulrich.
I was so floored by his performance. I
Yes.
was like, wow, whoever this guy is playing Ernest Hemingway, he is fucking phenomenal. This guy needs to win an Oscar for this fucking performance. And the thing is, I went to look him up, and I was like, I looked down that list, and I was like, wow, dude, you've done nothing. Jesus, I hope this movie really does it for that guy. Because you're right, Corey, he does command the screen. I wanted to see an Ernest Hemingway movie starring this guy.
I just have to disagree a bit. I think I enjoyed him and that character as much as you did.
The fuck you
But I
talking
don't credit I don't credit him, honestly, because it's a very one-note character, but it's a very funny note that's played very strongly and very loudly, and I actually credit Woody Allen for that.
Maybe if you've seen him,
I think it's a combination of the two.
Yeah, maybe if you've seen him on Law and Order L.A., you'd realize just how
you would. You'd be like, wow, there's no way that's the same guy.
No.
Well, hey, like I said, he blew me away.
He did. But you know what? I got to give props to Marion Cotillard. Is that how you say her
Oh
name?
yeah, she was charming.
I mean, clearly, if you're going to do a period piece, she should be the go-to actress.
and she, isn't she?
I mean,
very, very classic look about her. She plays she's kind of the mistress of all these, because this is a world. Now, I'm gonna tell you something. I mean, I know some of these names they brought up. I'm gonna be that dumb guy to tell you. They were naming off some names I didn't know. I mean, your most prominent figures like Fitzgerald and T.S. Eliot, and of course, Dali and people like that. They named, and then they get to some other literary figures, and I'm like, okay, I heard people. It was kind of movie where people in the back recognized him, like, they mentioned that's a literary guy. And I was just like,
Because I felt the same way. Where I was like, I know these people. I'm not familiar with a lot of their works, but even some of them, I was like scratching my head.
I was sitting
oh,
there,
that person must be important.
I was like, I'm the dumb one. I don't know what you're laughing at, you know.
That's all right, Corey. That's why they invented Wikipedia.
Yeah, exactly. I went there right after.
Oh my God! You know what I just realized with Marion Cotillard being in this film and everything that happened in it, with Owen Wilson's character about to marry into this rich, important family.
It's an inception.
He's being incepted.
Yeah.
The whole thing is a dream. It's so obvious now.
She's she's the hoe of the group. I mean, she's like the mistress of all these like.
I mean, you can't even say hoe because clearly that was just like a standard thing.
She was a
happened.
groupie.
She was a free-thinking woman.
Yeah, you go.
That's what they called
her
back in the.
She was open-legged. I mean, open-minded. She was like the mistress of Hemingway, Picasso. You know,
Right.
She's only a hoe if you're not on her to-do list.
Exactly. Ho, you ain't fucked me yet. No, but she's she has a very classic look. I mean, you know, Woody Allen films this in almost that haze, you know, that white Vaseline on the lens kind of haze, and
Yeah,
it's,
soft focus.
soft
Superman
focus,
haze.
yeah. When you hit that's Fortress of Solitude haze, and it works very well for this movie, and it suits her because she's radiant anyway. But you know the way he shoots her, man, in the midst of all this like this golden glow that Paris is washed in. I mean, she just embodies it.
And you start falling for her, which is really great about a character. You really fall for her, and you're like, damn, Owen Wilson, you need to hook up with
Well,
that
that's
broad.
the thing. It's like, man, as hot as Rachel McAdams is, Marion Cotillard makes you fall for her even harder. It's like,
easily.
She's exotic.
And it is funny to me how, you know, Rachel McAdams at first, you go like, well, she's kind of shallow, but I'm sure they have some things in common. And then when he tries to list them, it's all like, we both like Indian food. But like, and then at times they would just have her be just like a complete bitch, the way you're like, man, fuck that
Oh,
chick.
yeah, Rachel McAdams.
Yeah. And
yeah.
then just right as you feel that, there's a scene with her in those jeans. You go like, well,
Even
maybe I can give her another chance.
Yeah, that ass. But you know what? I mean, listen, I'm glad she did that role because Rachel McAdams has been a sweetheart in a lot of movies that she's been in. And this one, I'm just like, well, I like seeing you have this, you know, this kind of range.
She's great. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like that's the thing you can say about this movie. I don't think there was a single bad actor in this entire.
No.
Even Adrian Brody, where I was like, wow,
As Salvador
Adrian
Dali?
Brody is playing Salvador Dali, and I was like, right when he was about to open up his mouth, I was like, okay, this could either be really terrible or really awesome, and thank God it was fucking beyond awesome.
Man, I said that nose.
Another movie that I want.
Man, that nose was not even you, Adrian Brody, but that nose was born to play Salvador Dali.
It was uncanny.
It was.
he looked just like him.
And
Yeah.
see, that's my biggest problem with the movie is that they introduce all these characters in such close proximity, one after another, that it is almost like a superhero league of literary artists, whatever. And it's almost like feels like Forrest Gump in a way. It doesn't seem. As much as I'm liking the movie,
Oh, wow.
they introduce these characters so rapidly, one after another. Like, you know, and they almost come out and introduce each other just like, hello, I'm Ernest Hemingway, you know, and I'm just like, that doesn't seem so sincere. But these people are doing such a great job at playing these roles that I don't mind.
That's
it so
where
much.
you would find problems with that because this was clearly like either, you know, fantasy or a dream to where things would be compressed.
Well, that's the other reason why I let go of it. I mean, I thought they would come in very fast succession, but I realized that that's his fantasy world.
Even outside of that, you know, even if it's not just his fantasy world, if Alan is saying, okay, within this mythology I've created, this is really happening, it's as a film a total farce. I mean, completely. It is not like a lot of his more recent films have had a much more serious edge, and this is not one of those films. Much like Purple Rose of Cairo, this is played for laughs, but sweet laughs, and ultimately at the end, you feel like you kind of learned something.
Yeah, I know.
And it worked.
They stuck in a lesson there.
But
on
it
me.
is a farce, and that's why that kind of thing doesn't bother me. Because, like I said, he's not trying to say, "Oh, this is real."
And it's
a fable.
It's written well enough to where I mean, all these all these minor nitpickings. I never saw them. It never bothered me at all. I never thought about Forrest Gump, only because of the fact it's like at the same time when you are kind of Owen Wilson going through this movie. So when you meet these like legendary icons, you just like, why would they spend any time talking to me? It's like, hey, here's my buddy. Yeah, there's he. But it's like over time where you see these characters again, it's like, so what's going on? What's your deal? What are you all about? And I like how the interaction with these characters felt very like real after a while, and that's what I loved about it. They were starting to bond, and I think that's why I didn't want this movie to end. I was like, I'm ready to see where these relationships go even further.
It's funny because I haven't watched it in decades, but it reminded me of the feeling I got the first time I watched the Christopher Reeve movie, Somewhere in
Oh
Time.
God, I was just thinking about that.
Yeah.
because I was like, please don't take out your
Don't
cell
pick-
phone and
I
get
know
sucked
exactly.
back into the real
That's why
world.
I had the feeling like if I was him there, I was like, I would be pissed off if I pulled out a 2011 penny and saw like, oh fuck.
Well, you know what? I guess my biggest complaint about if I had a bigger complaint about the film is that I just want to see people more in the movie, like Kathy Bates as Gertrude Stein.
Yeah.
I really want to see more of her.
Well, that's
in
true.
the
There's so
film.
many that you don't get to spend as much time
Yeah.
with each of them as you wish you
Well,
could.
Dali, I want to see more of Salvador Dali. I know that we couldn't. I think we got just enough because I rather wish I saw more of somebody than like, okay, I'm enough of this guy. But you
like each one so much, but if they were to focus too much on them, you might not like them.
That's what I'm saying.
Salvador
Yeah.
Dali, that scene was by far, to me, I was laughing my ass off. during
just
that.
enough.
I could not stop. But
Yeah.
it was just enough to where it really wanted. I really wanted more.
Yeah,
I
left
mean,
an impression. Yeah, always leave them where
and
they
that's
want
great.
more.
You know,
Well,
that's great.
just wait till he does the sequel. Goodbye, Picasso. Hello, Dolly.
Midnight in Berlin.
but
Berlin during the Roaring 40s.
man, there's so many good things about this film. I mean, I am nitpicking at this point. I mean, my critiques, I like to point out the good and bad things of something, but this is definitely something where it's very hard to point out the bad. The only bad thing is I could say is if you a dumb son of a bitch, you're probably not gonna enjoy the movie as much because it's gonna rely on your knowledge, at least somewhat your knowledge of these historical literary figures. But I'm looking at this, and this is like I said, Woody Allen's a classic filmmaker, man. For him, less is more. The time travel in this is so imaginative. I mean, they do it like a couple of times in here where I was like, wow, I didn't even expect it to go that far back.
Yeah.
And that is extremely clever. I just, I like the simplistic approach that he takes to his style of filmmaking, and it fits a very sweet story like this very well. I love this movie, man. It truly is probably, I don't know if not the best movie that I've seen this year so far. It's right up there with the best.
Uh,
Yeah.
You're gonna finish that?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. No, I give it a matinee. So. no, I give it a very, 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 very high full price.
You know what? I was there with the very, very high full price because it's not simply one of the best movies Woody Allen's made in, lately. It's one of the best he's made in his entire career. It's one of the best movies I've seen in the last few years, not just this year. And just because of all the things we named it just nails it so right. You get such a good feeling. It is the kind of thing where if you haven't, you don't know your art history or your literary figures, you might be left behind going like, pfft, I didn't get it. But for anybody who has any rudimentary knowledge, it's just one treat after another.
And you don't have to have in-depth knowledge either.
No, you
really.
don't.
I mean, it's just enough. You have to know who these people were.
Right. You have to know that they existed. Like maybe you've heard their
have
names
a mild
before.
idea
A
of what
mild
they did
idea.
and
You'll
what
treat
they
it
were
like the
famous
X-Men.
for.
You'll go looking up these guys on the Wikipedia.
and yes, and for me, it was such a super high full price. And then I thought about the fact, you know what? In this summer, that's just so jam packed with sequels and prequels and remakes and homages. This is an original movie. I didn't, just so surprised to see that, and that pushes it over to a Better Than Sex for me.
You know what? It is a reboot of all these characters, though. When you think
Stop
about
it.
It's just taking stuff from it's like a sequel to their lives.
Now you're being like Michael Sheen in the movie.
I am totally.
I've been a huge fan of Woody Allen, especially his older work. Hey, I love Bananas. And
Take the money and run and all that.
I fucking love Take the Money and Run.
Shit. Yeah, but I've always, like, the past few years seeing these Woody Allen movies. I'm still wondering, like, hey, where's my old buddy Woody, who used to like make me laugh and like make me think, make me laugh, and just make me think about life in general. And thank God this is the movie that finally has done it for me. Where I was telling Leon, you know what? If Woody Allen were to pass away tomorrow, this is a good fucking movie. This is a great fucking movie to end his career on, period.
Well, that we've talked about him. He's probably going to die.
He probably will.
We'll be
Sorry,
like,
Woody.
we called it. Where's Time Magazine to interview us?
Soon I'm coming for you. But I mean, I was completely blown away by this movie. Like I said, I did not want it to end. And just saying that if that doesn't deserve a Better Than Sex, I don't know what does. But it's good to see my old friend Woody back. And honestly, I almost don't want him to make any more movies because this is just so perfect. You know,
Talking to Leon, I'm sorry. Now he's on here making bad jokes. Never mind.
Oh yeah, you just got to tune him out. But this is definitely better than Sex for me. So Woody, screw whoever you want, dude. I don't care.
The thing is, I'm like not fans of every period of Woody Allen. Like there was the point from Deconstructing Harry to I can't remember,
Celebrity
maybe
and,
Curse of the Jade Scorpion,
Hollywood Ending.
There was about 5 to 7 years where it was like everything he did was not good and was barely watchable.
Right.
You know, you're like, wow, Woody, what the fuck is going on? But even so, when you watch all his films, they trace. I mean, all his films are autobiographical, no matter how crazy goofy they are, like the early
Bananas.
stuff. Yeah, exactly. They're all reflecting.
He was a freedom fighter.
Really, who he is in his mind and what he was thinking about in a way much more honest than most filmmakers are. And this is just another chapter in that, and it's a really interesting and revealing chapter for him in that level. And yet at the same time, it's also a refreshing return to the old Alan. I mean, it feels like that Purple Rose of Cairo Alan, that's one of my favorite movies by him, period. And right now, this is one of my favorites too. This is in my top 5 of Allen films, and that's saying a lot because my top 20 has got films of all time has more than one Woody Allen film on it. I always so reluctant to utter these words, but goddamn, this movie blew me away. It gave me the chills as an Allen fan.
It literally blew you?
And it did. Didn't you stick around after the credits?
Yeah, we went to like Purple Rose of Cairo, just walked out the screen and just blew him, man.
Dude, you always leave before the credits roll. I tell you about that.
I didn't know there was a stinger at the end of it.
I tell you, it was going to pay off at one of these days. Certainly not in the Marvel films. But no, this is better than Sex. I can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, this was a really, truly great film. And I'll be shocked if it doesn't come in like one of the films that they say, wow, this is the final race for the best of for the year in the Oscars.
Yeah, it really should,
has
man.
to. It has to be.
It should. It really should. I love this movie too.
Yeah,
Well,
it just makes you like want to like, because leaving this, it's like, wow, if I had to go back in time, who would I want to meet? And it's like He-Man and Thundar and hanging out with those guys, drinking beer, saying, hey, is this chick really worth it?
Damn. Of course you would, yeah.
Yo, He-Man. So, She-Ra, what's up with it? You hitting that, or? She's your sister? So, but that answer my question, though. You hitting that?
You still haven't.
I mean, you're royal blood. I know how y'all are.
And this is like way back in, when the hell is this anyway?
Yeah. So I liked it when Leon and I lived our version of this movie. When we were hanging out in East Texas at those steps and that slave cart drove up. You Negroes get in this car, right? Yes, sir.
Yeah, we didn't meet any heroes.
No. We waited for Harriet Tubman. She never showed up.
Where the fuck is John Brown when you need him?
You mean some cotton tonight.
What time did you get in last night?
Not that late. Yeah, I'll probably end up going on another little hike tonight.
Where'd Gil run off to?
I've been walking around Paris.
Where do you think Gil goes every night?
He walks and gets ideas.
Why are you so dressed up?
I was just doing a little writing.
You dress up and put on cologne to write?
Because you know how I think better in the shower and I get the positive ions going in there?
I had a private detective follow him.
And what happened?
I don't know. The detective agency says the detective is missing.
I'm in a very perplexing situation.